Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshumritanjena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaye Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namaha Yam Pravajantam Anupeta Apeta Krityam Apayano Viraha Katara Ajuhava Utriti Tan Maitaya Taravo Binedus Tam Savabhutam Hridayam Munimanatusmi Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatam Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat Abhaktya Vihina Parada Lakshay Deeptastakamari Tarangamadye Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Papanna Vrinde Namaste Charanadavindam Tave Vasmi Najivami Tvayavina Iti Vigyaya Radhe Ram Nayanam Charanandike Vancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Vya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Okay, we're going to continue hearing about Kartik Vrat, Dust of Braj. Jai Shri Shri Radha Raramanju Ki Jai. Jai Srimati Lalita Srimati Vishaka Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Manjari Shri Rati Manjari Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Srila Gurudev Ki Jai. There you go. Okay. And we've been hearing about how by the mercy of Giriraja Maharaj, Vajanab, the great-grandson of Sri Krishna, has been discovering all the pastime places of Braj. After Krishna left, and all of his devotees left, then Vrindavan became again just beautiful forest. And nobody knew where Krishna had been, what he had done. And so Vajanab wanted to reclaim these places, to show the world. But he couldn't just go there and do it, even by the strength of his own meditation. The great-grandson of Krishna, what was his position? But he had to get the mercy of Giriraja Maharaj, the mercy of Manasi Ganga, the mercy of Vrindavan and itself, the holy places that remained to benedict us. And we also do that. That's one of the ingredients of going on Braj Mandal Parikram, is that we go to Giriraj and we ask for benediction. Giriraj is so merciful, he'll give you whatever you want. And most people, even people that are going there and appear to be doing such austerity, doing Dandavat Pranam Parikrama, sometimes one Dandavat and then putting a stone down and then another one and another stone, and they may have 8, 16, 108 stones and then one more. They may spend years there doing that parikram. But some of them are just doing it and they have a little begging bowl and that's their livelihood. Others are doing it and they may make a little house out of stones because they're praying for that. And most people that go to Giriraj, they have mixed motives. That's called karma mishra bhakti, where you do the limbs of bhakti, but you are doing it with some material desire in your heart. Sometimes it's overt, and you're directly praying, please give me this, please give me that. Sometimes, like in the case of many of us, the desires are lingering there and they sneak in while we're doing our bhajan. And we're thinking while we're chanting, oh, if only this was there, if only that was there. You have to be very careful because that dilutes the quality of your chanting. And it can actually turned it into Namaparad, to seek out liberation or material pleasure, mystic cities, elevation of every planets, purposefully while doing bhakti and chanting, is actually on the level of Namaparad. Right? But then you might ask, well, what about me? I have these desires still, The ingredients of the offenses still exist in my heart. But in the Jaiva Dharma, in those chapters about Namaparad, Namabhas, it's described that if these weaknesses exist in the heart, and of course they do until you become Shuddha Bhakta, if they're there because of weakness, inattentiveness, not malice, if they're there because, and you're not malicious and purposely doing it, then you enter into Namabhas. But again, there are many gradations of Namabhas as well, right? So we're always striving. And even Namabhas, free from gross offense, it still takes a long time to work, right? So we have to really, really strive for Shuddha Nam, really be conscious of the obstacles in our heart and pray that they be removed to these personalities. That's why Braj Mandal Parikram, Navadvip Parikram is so powerful, because we're directly there in the presence of Krishna's eternal associates, who their service in that environment is to give benediction, give assistance to those who are asking for it. But we have to ask for it. If you don't ask for it, you don't get it, right? That's what Ramananda Roy indicated to Mahaprabhu. Krishna, and we cited this verse the other day, right? Krishna bhakti rasa bhavatamati kriyatam yadi katoti labhyate tattara lolyam apimulyam ekalam janmakoti sukritayana labhyate. That when the element of greed and intense desire enters into the heart, then even if you're on the platform of prema, that prema, controlled and regulated by regulative principles, can transform into an even greater form of prema, which is raga nuga. Right? And so even in our stage, greed is required, very powerful. I've told this story a lot of times, but it's a fond memory of mine. But it goes to show you how greed, just like Shraddha, just like all the other stages of bhakti, it begins as an atom. And we were in New Braj, I think it was 98, maybe 99. Anyway, Gurudev was giving a series of very powerful lectures. And in that, he introduced the necessity for this developing desire, this urgency, this awakening of greed. And he wove it in and out with many, many beautiful stories. And I was very moved. And I'm living outside at this time, not following up and down, back and forth. But when you go in the presence of a great devotee, then you become inspired. So every time you go to New Braj for that festival, you're just brought up to this great platform. You feel so strong, so fixed. And so for that moment, I went down to the house that he was staying in, and usually he had this giant crowd around him, right? But this time, he just walked in the house, no one was there, the little room in front next to the little kitchen there, and I'm just standing there. There may have been one or two other devotees, and Gurudev's there standing. And he looks at me, and I look at him, and I said, "Oh, Gurudev, I want that greed. I want that greed you're talking about." He just blurted out, And then he made this big smile. His lips, his mouth smiled, his eyes smiled, and his face lit up, and he walked over to me, and I said, "Yeah, I want that greed." And he goes, "Oh, very good, very good." And he thumped me on the chest. "Very good, very good, very good." And I thought, oh, this is a moment, This is a moment where Guru, in response to your request, to your desire, will acknowledge and help you. And in Veda culture, when something is said 3 times, it's like, oh, we really mean this, right? Harinam, 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 Eva Kevalam, right? Kalona Steva, repeating. It gives it strength and emphasis, verification. And so he's saying, yes. And I took it, the seed of that is being planted. Because I was hearing, and I wanted to act on that platform. Now, over 25 years later, I'm still wanting it, maybe a little bit more, I hope a little bit more, but I'm confident, that that's the direction, right? And so going to these pastime places, we have to take advantage of the situation and with humility, with determination, just pray for their mercy, like Brajanab is doing. If even Brajanab is doing that, what to speak of us, right? And not just in the Dham, right? Okay, the Dham, but this is also the Dham. We mentioned this yesterday. Wherever the pure devotee is, that Vrindavan is there. Srila Prabhupada is here, Srila Gurudev is here in their Murti, they're here in their instructions, where Radha and Krishna are, where their associates are, that's the Dham. And they've manifested here in this very special form, giving us the opportunity to manifest Seva Kunj, one of the most confidential places in all of Vrindavan. So, the eagerness that we have, it's not just meant to be shown, right, in Vrindavan or in the presence of Sri Guru or great devotees or, at limited times and places. It's shown at all moments of the day. The first test is in the morning, right? When that alarm goes off, well, hopefully you've got the alarm set, probably, maybe not. But when the alarm goes off, all right, my mind says, oh, you're sick. Oh, you're too tired. Don't get up now. Get up later, and then you'll be strong for your seva. If you get up now, your whole day will be lost. You'll get sick. No. Saraswati Prabhupada used to say it, you beat your mind with a broom. Because the mind will always oppose bhakti. The mind is the agent that it's the chief of the senses. The 5 senses are always interacting with their objects automatically, and the mind determines, I like this, I don't like that. And the mind is conditioned from time immemorial to only want material pleasures. So therein the intelligence takes over. And against all odds, you have to force yourself, just get up, right? Get up. What I do is every morning, as soon as I wake up, I put on an audio, a lecture, something, so that my mind is immediately overcome by the soldiers of Mahaprabhu, right? The mind is saying, don't get up, and then all of a sudden, beautiful Jaiva Dharma, beautiful Bhakti Rasayan, some beautiful book, and then the mind has to retreat, right? And then the intelligence takes over. But it's a never-ending battle. The mind is relentless. And if you pray for strength and practice, just like you practice anything, you get better at it. And so, Mangalartik, enthusiasm. We have to do everything, chanting the holy name with ulas, enthusiasm. But if we do all the other forms of seva with enthusiasm and don't want to be in a condition where we're not doing seva, then everything begins to fall into place. And a little awakening of that greed, a little awakening of that mood of nishta, a little awakening of that mood of joy. And faith will grow out of that. Yes, this is a science. If I do this, I get that. All right? So, Brajanab. Now, yesterday we heard how he found Prem Sarovara. Right? We heard about the prayers of Lord Brahma. And he was talking about the great benefits of being in Vrindavan. Of Uddhava, talking about the Vraja Devis and their benedictions. So, Chandra Sarovara we heard about. So later in his journey, Vajranabh revealed the pastime place of Mansarovra, where, distressed in separation from Krishna, Srimati Radharani came after leaving the rasa dance in a sulky mood, and where her tears collected to form this lake. Another powerful place in Vrindavan. Although he learned about the services of Braj, Vajranabh still had the desire to know how he could serve eternally in Braj. Right? So you go not just to collect information and, oh, now I know all the pastime places, I can take people around. The underlying intent and mood that we want to cultivate in Vrindavan and Navadvip, here, Bhaktabandhav, is how can we serve eternally in Braj? He prayed to Shiv Thakur, who then manifested his form as Chakaleshwara Mahadev in Govardhan, Kameshwara Mahadev in Kamyavan, Bhuteshwara Mahadev in Mathura, and Gopishwara Mahadev in Vrindavan. Lord Shiva has a very important role in Braj. Very important. He's the Lokapala. He's the guardian of all the forests. He's the guardian of the Rasa Leela. He protects Krishna in Nandagan when he's a little baby. And by praying to him, we get if we can get his mercy, we can also gain entrance. It's kind of funny, though. We hear about all these personalities that we have to pray to. We have to pray to Lord Shiva. We have to pray to Yamuna Devi. We have to pray to Giriraja. Everywhere we go, we have to pray to somebody, right? But that's a good thing. That's a good thing. We know our place, right? And we're just seeking mercy wherever we can get it. And Chakaleshwara, that, in Manasi Ganga, in Govardhan, he has his special place. He's named Chakaleshwara because he participated during the time that Indra was trying to inundate Vrindavan with the flood. It said that by his own trident, he thwarted the thunderbolts of Indra. And so they couldn't harm Giriraj. And he is there eternally. Sanatana Goswami would stay in that place at Govardhan. He has a bhajan kutir there. And oftentimes he and Lord Shiva would sit and discuss. They were very close friends. Right? Imagine that, going to Vrindavan and having intimate friendship and relationship with some eternal resident there. But then Sanatana Goswami was going to leave because there were so many mosquitoes there that even he could not tolerate. And so he told Lord Shiva, I'm sorry, I have to go. I have to go to some other place. Why? Why? Too many mosquitoes. I can't bear it. All right, I tell you, from this day on, the mosquitoes will no longer bother you. Because he's a controller, right? He's an Ishwara. Empowered by Sri Krishna, he is an Ishwara. And from that point on, no mosquitoes in that area. And so he could stay. Sweet pastime. Sweet pastime. So Vajranabh still had the desire to know how he could serve eternally in Braj. He prayed to Shiva Thakur, who then manifested his form as Chakaleshwara Mahadev in Govardhan, Kameshwara Mahadev in Kamyavan. Beautiful temple there, and in Kamyavan, where we go, and a big, large parikram area around the deities and Mahadev. Mathura, and of course in Vrindavan, you should always go to Gopishwara Mahadev very early on, as early as you can. And it's difficult because during that month, that temple is always very, very crowded. Just to get in, it's not a big place, and you have to fight your way up the stairs, and then there's this little round pathway around, and he's down in the sunken area. And sometimes he's dressed as Gopishwara, and sometimes you see him as Shivalinga. Either way, you go down into that sunken area, and it's completely soaked with people doing abhishek and bathing. Great, great opportunity. So, thus, and then you can remember how Lord Shiva himself, what did he do to take that form with Gopishwar? Right? He prayed to Purnamasi, Yogamaya. Give me, I want to witness the Rasa Leela. I want to take part somehow and serve this Rasa Leela. And so he's given that form. That's a whole other story. We'll continue. But he prays also. Thus, Vrajanab revealed these four important deities of Braj Mandal. Sri Keshav Dev, who now resides in Mathura, Sri Govinda Dev, who is present in Vrindavan, where Vrajanab first established him, Sri Haridev, who continues to stay in Govardhan, and Sri Baladev Prabhu, who is present in Dauji in Braj. Through the mercy of Sri Giriraja Govardhan, Vrajanab also revealed these four prominent lakes of Braj Mandal, where everyone can learn how to serve Krishna and the Vraja Devis. Prem Sarovara, Man Sarovara, Chandra Sarovara, and Kusum Sarovara. Vrajanab satisfied these deities of Krishna by offering them Chandan and Prem Seva. Prem Seva. He was serving, his service was accepted because he was serving with such purity of heart and sincerity. And that's an important thing to understand. There's a beautiful article in one of the Rays of the Harmonists, can't remember which issue, where Bhaktivedanta Keshav Maharaj is talking about bhakti. And there's a diagram in it of a rope. And the rope is meant to represent bhakti. And it's twined to, sometimes ropes are made of smaller ropes. And two things are intertwined. The cheshta, or the endeavor, and the bhav, or the mood. Right? And we discussed this before when we were talking about Rupa Goswami's verse, Anya Belashita Shunyam Jnana Karmadyanavritam Anukulyena Krishnanu Shilanam Bhaktir Uttama. That Uttam Bhakti is characterized by service that's unbroken, no interruption, like a stream of fragrant oil from a jar, and done in a very favorable, loving mood for the benefit of Krishna. But also free from any separate desire and not covered by reward-seeking activity or desires for material learning or personal liberation, right? And so we have to practice that our service, we should do it in a mood of happiness and jubilation, right? If you're cooking for Thakurji, what an honor. What an honor. I remember my very first service in the temple when I joined, mostly cleaning. We had this pot room, right? We got our lessons there. But also in the early morning, after breakfast was cooked, 3 or 4 of us would go in there and clean the kitchen. Clean it like you cannot believe. Stove very similar to the one we have here. This is sort of an antique, I guess, but it was just like that with the different trays, the gas outlets come out. We'd take the whole stove apart and clean everything, every single day. And all the floors, everything, spick and span. And then in the evening, the stove wouldn't have to be cleaned because in the morning we did chapatis, so there's flour all over it. But we clean everything else. And the cook there, she was a very senior devotee. Her name was Bhadra Dasi. And she had been there since 1968. Joined in Boston. She'd been an artist. Now she was the head cook. And she was really strict about that kitchen. But she loved to cook. And she was always telling stories about Srila Prabhupada and Srila Prabhupada's mission. And so early on, I'm just bhakta and I'm listening to this later. 4 years, joining in 68, that's a long time in ISKCON. At that time. She was like, first generation Sevak. And she would tell these wonderful stories, and she cooked with such enthusiasm. She loved to cook for the devotees. Even though we didn't have so many fancy ingredients, she loved to cook. Then Srila Prabhupada came, right? And then her enthusiasm increased even more. And then every evening she would cook for Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada loved her service mood so much that even though there were all these GBC and sannyasis there and temple presidents who would go after the Maha, he would send down to her a nice big plate. Whether it was sabji and puris that she'd made. Some nights he would only want milk and shortbread cookies, Prabhupada cookies. She always made it with such love. And he sent it down. And then she would take some and she would give some to me and my friend, who's probably going to come up here and visit. He lives in New Jersey, high school buddy. Joined also when I joined. And we were kitchen cleaners. And we'd go out in a little garden. And she would tell us, oh, these are the remnants of Srila Prabhupada, pure devotee. This is the greatest thing. And it was kind of reward. And we knew we were getting this reward because we dived into that seva, assisting her, cleaning her kitchen that she was using to serve Srila Prabhupada and the deities, right? And so we got this sense of the joy of serving the servants of the servants, right? It was practical realization. And even though the joy may have been just a taste of this magnificent prasad, still some realization was there because she imparted it, right? She gave that instruction. And it was handed down and it was powerful because she said it with faith. And Prabhupada was there. And I remember that to this day, And she would always give such nice instruction, I consider, I haven't seen her since maybe 1974, 75. But I'll always remember her and be grateful for those early lessons. And the lesson of serving the servant of the servant of the servant and doing the service with enthusiasm and affection, right? So, Krishna learns how to serve. The spring Rasa festival, or Basanti Ras, takes place in the month of Madhav. After Basanti Ras, Krishna manifests the pastime of Holi, throwing colors. Krishna thought, during this time of Holi, the Sakas, myself, and all the Brajbasis smear ourselves with the foot dust of the Vraja Devis. We also bathe ourselves with the water that has bathed the Vraja Devis' feet. Right? Because people are taking the dust of Vrindavan. What's the most beautiful dust of Vrindavan? It's that which is coming off the feet of Krishna's beloved Vraja Devis. Right? And everybody serves the Vraja Devis. That's the nature of Krishna Lila. All the different rasas serve Madhurya Ras. And so there's so many different pastimes where sometimes the gopis are being thwarted in their desire to serve and be with Krishna. Radhika herself is sometimes locked in the compound, not allowed to go out, right? But even in taking the mood of the opposition, what are they doing? They're increasing the desire and the urgency of the gopis to be with Krishna, and they're increasing Krishna's desire in that same way. They're fanning their eagerness, their desire, and both Krishna and the gopis have to come up with ingenious plans to meet. So the Leela becomes even sweeter, more clever, more enjoyable in every way, right? So the Vraja Devi's service tendency and love is unparalleled. Everything about the Vraja Devis is special, but I cannot avail myself of their love. How can this be made possible? I must serve and practice. I will also train myself. Remember, this goes back. Don't maintain some patriarchal view of Krishna, right? That Krishna, even though he is the Vishaya Tattva, the object of the service of everyone, we are Ashraya, we are the abodes of that mood of service towards Krishna. But for Krishna, Those who love him become the object of his love. He becomes the ashraya, they become the vishaya. This is pure selfless love. This is pure love in the spiritual world. It is not one-sided. Both parties experience the joy of service, and both parties experience the joy of receiving service from a beloved. Krishna decorates Radhika with his own hand. Radhika is decorated by Krishna's own hand. And the cowherd boys, right? They're feeding Krishna with their own hands. Krishna's carrying them on his back after being defeated in battle. Right? Some of the younger boys, Krishna will carry if they're tired. Krishna will massage his cows and calves. He's doing service to everyone. They're doing service to him. And they're all experiencing the joy of that. So now Krishna, how can I serve my beloved Radhika and her friends? Therefore Krishna came and prayed to the Sakis. He told them, please give me a chance to serve. I will also practice and undergo training. Everyone worships and serves me. They offer everything to me, and I accept whatever they have to offer. I do so for their happiness. However, I have no chance to serve myself. Please teach me the process of how to serve. Please help me attain the service of Srimati Radhika. The Sakis became surprised listening to Krishna's entreaty. They thought, which mood has entered Krishna's heart? After the Holy Leela and Vasanti Leela, he has changed. Before he was a crooked cheater, but now he's become very simple and sweet, polite and humble. He repeatedly tells us, please give me a chance to serve Srimati Radhika. This bewilderment, now he has these qualities of sweetness and simple and humble. Before he was arrogant and proud, right? Because Krishna has four kinds of heroes. When Brajanath and Vijay Kumar heard the description of the four kinds of Nayaks, I believe it was Brajanath said, but these are contradictory qualities. How can they reside in one person? But Babaji Mahashai said, well, no, because Krishna is the source. He is the complete hero. And he has all the qualities of all the heroes. They all reside in him. And they reside in him. He reconciles them all perfectly. So sometimes he's going to manifest Dira Lalita, Dira Datta, Dira Shanta, and Dira Datta. And sometimes it'll be one, sometimes it'll be the other, sometimes it may be a combination of them both, all the qualities in the same moment, in the same pastime, being arrogant and then becoming humble. And it's all sweet. And why? Right here. Now he's showing this and attracting the gopis' hearts. They loved him for his arrogance and clever cheating, even though they criticized him. And now they're stunned. And so their hearts are softened by his politeness and humility. In every way, he's exciting their moods of affection. So the Sakis asked Krishna, how will you serve her? I will comb her long hair. I will decorate her hair with many flowers. In this way, her mercy will shower on me. Before, Krishna had thought to himself, everyone serves Srimati Radharani, but I never served her. I never practiced serving her in my life. Is that true? No, it's not true. But this is the mood of the devotee. I have no love. I have no service. Right? Not like us. We think, I cooked lunch. I made this for everybody. I bought all these ingredients. Everybody loved it. I'm the best of sevaks. Right? Everyone will honor and respect me for my seva, as they should. As they should. But that's not the mood of real devotees. Real devotees, I've not done any seva. Nothing. And even Krishna. I never practiced serving her in my life, I am worshipable to the entire world, but I did not serve Srimati Radharani. Only if I was given the chance to comb Radharani's hair, I would feel my life successful. Krishna felt he never learned how to serve. Therefore he went to Sringar Vat and proclaimed, I will observe a Vrat for 1 month. I will be trained and I will learn how to serve. Okay, so tomorrow, what was Krishna's service? Sringar Vat, we go there also. It's that area of town near Vamsi Vat, all that area. It's an older temple, a little more run down than some, but very sweet pastimes. Gradually, though, because of the popularity now of Braj, because of Srila Prabhupada, because of all of the disciples of Saraswati Prabhupada, because of Gurudev, and their moods and intensity, now, one by one, all these different pastime places are attracting sponsors and becoming restored more and more. So, that's Keshav means, one of the names of Keshav is, he's combing Radhika's hair. So we're going to stop here, continue again tomorrow. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Srila Gurudev, all glories to our Guru Parampara, all glories to Shri Shri Radha, Radharaman, Shrimati Lalita Vishaka, Rupa Manjari, Rati Manjari, Ki Jai. We'll do our Guru Puja and our special worship of Tulsi Devi during this month of Keshav Vrata. Haribol, Haribol.